Well, hey, Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. For this episode, wake up on Christmas morning for another episode of Which for Mercury, so that's awesome. So yeah, we're going to dive into that. You know, this episode is very cool. There was a lot of interesting character, emotions, drama being worked out, and you know what? A lot of it I felt like I could relate to, and maybe a lot of people could relate to. Things happened that I didn't expect, but then things I was expecting to happen didn't. So yeah, let's get into that. Hey, and if you haven't, please subscribe, and if you think this is a cool video, give it a like, and check the links in the description for ways you can support the channel. But hang out in our Discord. It's a lot of fun. Okay, what's really cool about this episode is we start seeing more of that Gundamness that I'm into. I mean, we have a crew in uniforms in the ship. You see the captain, all of that sort of the gravity manipulation. I mean, Seletta's like literally upside down, which is pretty funny. But we also see like those handles that normally when you're in a lowered gravity situation you'd hold on to help you get around faster, but they seem to be kind of these wall conveyor belts that you can kind of put your hand on and move forward. Seletta is acting awkward, though, but I kind of like what's going on here. Like, we've seen her from the first episode. Like, it seems like she just has these social issues. She, you know, the way she raised, she wasn't really used to socializing with people. And then even how she interacts with people is a little strange, but also relatable in some ways. But, you know, she's really excited to see the Ariel again. And it's probably a mix of that and then, yeah, what was going on in the RNA that's kind of getting to her head. Oh yeah, here's an example of that conveyor belt thing I was talking about, where they seem to put their hands on instead of grabbing a handle, which is pretty cool. And we get a look at the kind of the Earth animals again. Really cool that they just kind of hang around with the Earth group anyways, to help them feel like they're at home with them or something. Yeah, kind of cool. And I guess kind of the first little interaction of Seletta's awkwardness was that Mjolnir was coming by, so she hid behind the animals, but her ponytail, due to the gravity, was kind of hanging up so they could see that. And that is kind of funny. But again, you almost feel sad for Seletta because of this awkwardness that she's going through. All right, we get another look at that the way they do the colonies here. Again, it's like a center asteroid, something you would think of like maybe Axis, Solomon. But like the colony or the space station itself is like built around it. And, you know, these little mirrors that stick out, or could be mirrors, that could be what's grabbing the solar energy, but you know, made in that like that circular pattern around the asteroid makes me think that it must be related to how it functions in terms of being able to have some artificial gravity in space. And either that it was just built in kind of this asymmetrical jagged pattern, or it's just unfinished. But again, I love this design. Okay, so another cool thing is in this universe, they have these things they strap to them that they hold on to that have a little thrust. It's almost like what you would see from the original Mobile Suit Gundam 0079, the little jetpacks they wear. This seems to be a more functionally looking, practical way to like get around. It's something you just sling around you. You kind of pick it up like a bike and allow it to move you around. I like how they're adding technology like that in here. It's pretty cool. And this is where it starts getting very interesting with Seletta, because I gotta say, I feel like I really relate with what she's going through, and it was really touching me. I was really feeling the emotion here. It's, you know, in life we have waves up and down, and sometimes when you're in that down wave, it's where you almost feel like everyone's against you, like no one likes you. You know, part of being a human and what gives us, you know, the motivation to move forward is the acceptance of others around us. Sometimes we let the artificial acceptance get to us, but in this case, in a lot of cases, a lot of times you don't realize that you're just getting into your own head. You're just worrying about things that don't really exist, but maybe because of some people's actions, because they're going through their own issues, you then feel like it's on you. Because from this last episode, it really seemed like Mjolnir is going to turn into the bad guy here. And I'm really curious with this episode how that's going to develop. Because I think with the acceptance that Seletta is not feeling from Mjolnir, it's almost like that's trickling down to all the other interactions she's having with people. Like in this instance, she is taking the cargo to move it, and it kind of gets undone, kind of goes everywhere, and someone makes a comment in the distance of, "Oh, that's stupid," or something like that, and then she took that seriously, but then that person was talking about using an app, And it was almost to tell the audience. I mean, why would they focus on that really than just to tell the audience, oh, this is Soletta, she's in her head. And so that seemed to be the theme for Soletta's character in this episode. Man, and then we get to the court politics part of this, which I'm still kind of confused because it looked like there was some backstabbing, but it looks like it's going to go even deeper than that. Like, I think at the end, really, no one trusts anyone. They're just siding with them just to move forward with some things, like allowing the Gundam process to go forward. That allows Prospera and Delling to kind of work together, but they wouldn't work together. And then you have Grassley and what they're planning to do, and it almost becomes this game at this point for this kind of corporate power. But at the end of the day, it seems like Soletta's mom has more of a revenge angle. How much of it is corporate money and how much of it is just revenge, but also how much of it is really she's motivated to help the world or the Earth sphere. So it's still hard to, right now, I don't think we can fully understand everyone's motivations here, exactly what they're trying to do, especially if you consider the assassination attempt on Delling that occurred earlier in the season. And Prospera is even giving Delling some extra data to use, some extra information, something that would... And then you think, well, is she working with him, or is this part of her plan? But wouldn't he know that too? So again, what this show does very interestingly is, and maybe this is sort of anime in general when it comes to social interactions, is things aren't spelled out. It's almost like you have to assume, just like a normal person in the real world would when confronted with others' emotions and motivations. You're just going to assume intent. And so that's what we're doing here. We don't really know exactly what everyone is trying to do. I think the closest we have is that Soletta's mom, Lady Prospera, or Elnora, as she was explaining her name, is on this revenge path. But how much is it revenge? How much is she really, really trying to change the world? Okay, so we get a look back at that shuttlecraft that Ghoul or Bob was on that got taken over from that Hand of Donna Fold group from Earth that have the Gundams, and they hijacked it so that they can take it to that colony that we saw. And I think it's interesting because Ghoul or Bob is caught up in this, and I really feel like this is giving an opportunity for him to come out as some sort of hero in some way. So can't wait to see what's going on. But this character here, this girl, I forget her name off the top of my head, but I really like that kind of aggressive nature she has. It really lends to the antagonist feel here. But also, oh man, I keep forgetting these characters' names off the top of my head, but there was the one with the black and blue hair that seemed to accidentally get involved with this situation that's unfolding. Is she going to tell the rest of her team what's going on? Because it's not like this was something she meant to do, but I think she's understanding, she's connecting the dots that she might have been part of this whole thing. In terms of Shadiq getting in communication with the people from Earth. Yeah, and there we go. There's, Ghoul was speaking out, and that girl put the gun to his head, and the captain, he had a look toward Ghoul or Bob as if like he's, this guy, maybe he knows who he is, and he's just not wanting to do anything about it, not wanting to stir the pot. Or maybe he's getting an impression that the guy knows too much about the Jet Turk House suits, because he was making a comment how the suits were like older Jet Turk suits that had been modified. So interesting to see where that unfolds. And another awkward situation for Soletta. They're getting lunch. She went to reach for some chicken specifically. The other dude put his hand on her, and then she freaked out. She's like, no, you take it. No, you take it. Like, she's so scared in her mental state right now to really further isolate herself. She's trying to do whatever she can to be nice, even though no one's feeling that. Everyone likes Soletta. It's just, the thing about Murine really put her down. It even gets to the point where someone goes to grab another thing of food or their lunch for someone else, but they actually had one. So then there was no more left for Soletta. And she's just like, well, it must have been an accident. I miscounted. So, like, she's blaming herself for it. She kind of hides away in the bathroom because of what's going on. She even calls her mom. And she has an interesting, conversation with her mom about it, too, because she's just saying how, she doesn't think anyone really likes her, that she's messed up, and this is not going the way she thought. And it was kind of cool that she confided in her mom, but I can't really say her mom really said anything interesting to kind of fix anything. And it makes me think like maybe it makes me think Lady Prospera, Soletta's mom, is really not that great of a person. And, I'd like to be proven wrong. The show does that a lot. But the way she talked to Soletta, it's not like she was really helping her or motivating her. So it really seems like Soletta was just the means to get the Ariel front and center to enact her plot. Because, again, if you read that light novel, it really seems like Ariel itself is sentient and has a mission that it's going on. It doesn't like that Soletta is getting caught up in all this. So I'm further under the impression that Soletta is not really the protagonist of the revenge plot. She's the protagonist of this show for us as the viewers to have someone to relate to. And then we get some more 6D chess going on here. Just talking with Delling. Look, the Jet Turret guy wanted to assassinate him. And then he was saying things to try to rile him up to see if he can motivate him to make a certain move. In the meantime, it allowed him to plant a device on one of the guards. He let Shadiq know about that. That way, they can, I guess, locate him for when the Earth Gundams go in to assassinate. So, again, it's very interesting seeing all these little sides doing these little things. Who knows how much Delling actually knows what's going on? But with Prospera there and with the Ariel, it's like, the Ariel is going to take them out anyway. And I think that that one girl, what was her name? But anyway, she with the Gundam was actually watching the video of the Ariel performing, and they're like, oh yeah, the Ariel just took out 6 other mobile suits. Kind of worried about it. So you would think then if all of these characters are in the know of what's going on and they're playing each other, you would think someone would know how powerful the Gundam Ariel is. And so I think that's going to be cool then when it comes down to the fight between these Earth Gundams and the Ariel. Just unfortunately, this episode didn't go that far. Yeah, and someone is missing here. Someone is missing from the couch. Okay, very interesting here because, I guess when Soletta was talking to her mom on the phone explaining how she doesn't think anyone likes her, she thinks she's messed up, Mjolnir heard the whole thing and then tried to get herself into the bathroom, and there was a funny little back and forth where they're really going at each other, and I was even thinking, what's going on here? But Mjolnir then spilled her guts, and it really completely changed the idea I thought I had of Mjolnir after the last episode, where it seemed like she really didn't care about Soletta, and it was really about what she wanted to get done. But no, it seems like it's just like Ghoul. It's her anger. And it's like these entitled kids that have these parents that are wealthy owners of these corporations. That these kids have this anger to them because they're not able to be themselves because there's these expectations they have. And I think having Soletta by her side has really made her feel like she can do these things. You know what I mean? It's almost like, because originally at the beginning of the show, she really just wanted to escape to Earth and get out of all this. But by now, she's wanting to move forward, create this company and actually do something more. And I think it's Soletta that's been by her side that's motivated her to do that. But she's not good with emotions and explaining those things. I mean, even, when they sort of hug it out, like it looks like they're doing, Soletta even gives her the keychain. And Mjolnir even says, this is dumb, this is lame, but you gave it to me. And so that, I think, reinforces the attitude that Mjolnir has, where she has a mask on a lot, and she acts like she's angry, and a lot of it is, hard for her to be emotional about it. But at the end of the day, she really does care about Soletta and like Soletta being there by her side. And so Mjolnir did then list off all of these things that she knows that Soletta could do for her. But she did it in a way where she's just very forward, aggressive, and uncompassionate about it, And again, that's kind of weird, but at the same time, this kind of settles where I thought Mjolnir was going to go. I think she's still a good one, and I think this has created a stronger bond that I think is going to be awesome, considering it looks like we're going to get into the meat of the battle in the next episode. A lot of great imagery here, actually, with these two characters. It really is cool to see them making up, you know. I was about to say making out, but that wouldn't be bad either. Okay, classic Gundam yet again. Captain of the ship. And the ship is rolling out, even though technically these are the bad guys right now, and they're about to unleash those new mobile suits. All right, here's a cool shot. Look at that. You know, this reminds me of a mix of things. I'm seeing, like, where was it? That, like, armored GM cannon that had kind of this color scheme to it. What is it? The GM custom. It sort of has those looks to it, which I guess would make sense. You know, wasn't there, like, what, 3 GM customs that were supporting the Gundam, the GP series, so that can kind of be the same thing that's going on here. That was very cool because it kind of did that Xeon thing where the eye would just kind of like, and cool look though, because this has more of that GM look to it. All right, so this is that ship again from the Earth people. They're getting to the colony. They're shooting out these little missiles, and I thought they were just going to go ahead and fire on it, but no, they're actually, I guess, disruption. The people at the colony saw that there were mobile suits incoming, so they were trying to contact them, but then all the radio interference, so they're like, evacuate. So Suletta was already on her way to the aerial, so that kind of works out because they also launched the Gundams. And there they are, a cool shot of these Gundams. Again, cool designs. Like, I almost feel like it almost looks like 00, maybe a little better, but I think I've realized why I'm not as crazy about some of these designs as compared to things we see in UC, because when you look at them, they're very geometrical, their color tone's very limited, and there's not a lot of bits on it to give it that functional look to it, right? I'm not saying it all needs to have real type markings, but I would say something like you would see in 08 MS Team or even Stardust Memory, and even Hathaway from a more recent one, is seeing sort of like the vent type stuff, more functional technology on the suits to make them appear as though they are real world weapons. In this case, they really just seem like some pretty neat designs. Again, I think this is really helping me understand why, as much as I like 00, I didn't care for the suits. The suits weren't designed to have kind of that real-world impact of functionality. Here's a sick shot of that mobile suit, the grunt suit that's backing up the Gundams with the rocket it's shooting. They're going all out. I guess they are trying to remove the C block from the rest of the colony, and it's some pretty intense action. And I would say it's probably some of the most intense in terms of this is risking lives, whereas a lot of the combat from before were these duels that were happening inside a school that weren't meant for, people's lives at risk. You know, it started with the last episode where the Gundams took over that ship, that cargo ship that Ghoul or Bob was on, and but now they're actually separating pieces of the colony. So yeah, the stakes are getting higher. And it ends very interesting here because I guess Suletta gets locked out in this area outside, and one of the Gundams fly in, zoom in on her, and they're like, I finally met Suletta Mercury. And then it just kind of ends. All right, so there we have it. That was the latest episode of Witch from Mercury. Awesome that it came out on Christmas morning, so I could just kind of watch it and do the video real quick. But I really got to say, it does a good job of allowing you to relate to Suletta. I really did. I think these are things everyone goes through, and maybe by watching this episode, you can kind of think of any of those times where you kind of get a dip in your life, where you feel like everyone's against you. And a lot of times it's just, yeah, there's just some things impacting you, some worries, but the worries sometimes will build up in you so much where you will perceive everything a certain way, just like we did. From that last episode, I was sure Myorine had turned to the dark side, and I thought that's just the way it was going to be. But no, we even got more, and it kind of maybe could help you understand how some people go through things in life depending on their background, how they were raised, and so they might come off a little angry or mean, but you never know, where do they really come from? And is there a way you can kind of connect to them in a way to kind of really find out their true intent? And then, again, from the side of Suletta, it's so easy to get worries all bogged up in your mind to where you're then just depressed. I mean, this can set depression in. So maybe people could watch this episode and kind of reflect and maybe help them out on that. But anyway, curious what you guys think. Obviously, the next episode is going to go all out with some badass Gundam battling. We've been needing that, and it looks like we're going to be getting that here pretty soon. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. We'll talk later.